Hi, everyone. Welcome to Nicola Valley Talk, a product of Experience Nicola Valley. Every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. Join us. I am your host, Tania Stewart, as well as an eco blogger with Experience Nicola Valley, helping promote our communities, businesses, nonprofit agencies, musicians, artists, tourism. Before I get on to tonight's guest, I have to do a shout out. So, Tourism Nicola Valley. This shout out is to Babe Canada Travel, Greg and Colin Gerard, brothers, Crazy Canuck brothers, who were just awarded a 2020 International Award for Tourism. So, way to go, brothers! Those Crazy Canucks, eh? Awesome. Very proud of you. And so tonight, our guest is someone we should all know and have on speed dial. With so much uncertainties these days, my guest is an expert. He's a consultant at IG Wealth Management, helping with and bringing solutions to people throughout the Nicola Valley and area, Logan Lake. He's from Logan Lake, and his name is Kyle Schell. And if you can remember last week, we had his wife on, Jennifer Schell. So let us welcome tonight to the Nicola Valley Talk, Mr. Kyle Schell.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you. So did you work all day and then have to rush and do this talk show?
I did. I actually just finished my duties about 20 minutes ago.
You're like your wife, eh? Never ending.
It truly does never end. Yeah, there's always things that need to be done.
So Kyle, let us start off with which I usually ask everyone is, Kyle, please provide a snapshot of yourself, a bio of a sort.
Kyle is, I'm married almost 15 years now. My wife Jennifer, as many of you met last week, we are a homeschooling family of 7. As she went into great depth into and the challenges that come with that, I'm a weekend golfer, I guess you could say, in terms of hobbies that I enjoy. Before I got into what I'm doing right now, I spent about almost the last decade as an operations manager or as an assistant store manager in trucking and tire industries. So budgeting has always been something kind of in the description of what I've done. And I even got into about 5 years ago of just the hobby of helping families just managing their budgets and trying to set them up towards their major goals. And that was one thing that really stirred me into the career I'm doing now. It's just something I was already doing. And so to do it from a professional level and really help, families and businesses, it's a dream come true. I love what I do.
And I'm sure a lot of people love what you do to help
Yeah.
them.
Yes. Yeah.
Kyle, I mean, like, wow, because to me, money is scary. I mean, I want it, or like, I think it's just up there with air. You need it to breathe and to live. But I have a hard time managing it, and that's just me. But
Yeah.
anyway, Kyle, being a financial consultant, please tell our viewers what this is. What does it entail? Because I don't know.
Okay. And it's confusing when you hear that term. I know I thought that way before I got into, this role. The to really break it down, I find that I'm acting as a guide, really, for families and businesses, trying to help them do things in the most tax efficient manner, as that is our greatest expense over our lifetime, and unfortunately, when we pass as well, they take a bite then as well. So that's important. Um, but in terms of the main areas that I am generally working in, helping families and businesses, I would be focusing in portfolio management, very important. The last few months, obviously, um, always important. Looking at kind of taxes and doing an estate analysis, looking at kind of from the bigger picture, from the 40,000-foot view on certain things, as well as that cash flow and insurance planning. They kind of go hand in hand as well. Those are kind of the key areas that I'm focused in. Everything is really just focusing on tax strategy, paying the least amount possible legally. Of course, I don't do tax evasion. I'll put that out there right now, tax planning. And I'm really just trying to be transparent with everything that I do, whether it be fees or where we are according to each goal. And people appreciate that. They like seeing everything for what it is, and I'm not pulling wool over anyone's eyes, throughout that process.
Because I was just thinking, how many, I can remember when I first got my first job and then I got my first paycheck, I thought I'd be pulling in the money, right? And then I'm like, what? All my taxes that were taken off.
And then,
I'm like, and then as I got in the higher wage bracket, it was even more. And it's just, and people don't understand that, and that's great. And say like my 14-year-old who wants a job and he thinks he's going to be making $15 an hour and making all this money, but he doesn't realize all that tax stuff. And that's awesome that you talk about that kind of stuff.
Yes,
because that is a huge thing, and being honest and everything too, because we need to be honest. So Paul, many as like myself who are not really good at managing cash flow. I can manage it. The cash goes in one hand and goes flying right out, managing to fly out the door, right? As soon as I get it. So what advice or pointers could you give our listeners to where and how to start managing our cash flow?
Okay. What I generally do in the very beginning is really look at, what do each of us have for discretionary income? We know what we make, and we have a rough idea on what we spend. Not many know exactly what they're spending. And there is that blow away money as well that everyone has. But what I find is the way to really start is pay yourself first. There's many different trains of thoughts on how much you should pay yourself first. Obviously to say, 10%, right? Or 15%. Well, you can't just start off saying that without knowing, what's left over. Is there money left over, or is there month left over? When the money runs out. So I really look first at what is available and go from there. But we have to pay ourselves first. And it takes discipline, right? And the first few times you do it, you may feel it. After that, it becomes habit. And that's when things really start growing.
I find sometimes I can't even look at my bank statements or look at my spending habits.
Okay.
I think to myself, with hearing what you were saying, I think that would almost be something to print out and post on my refrigerator door.
Sure.
Because or to keep it in handy. So when I do, if I am, then I could see where I'm spending it, and then I can maybe go from there and start seeing.
100%. Yeah. And part of what I do is a cash flow analysis. Mm-hmm. And it even shows how many dollars of each, federal or provincial tax that we pay annually, right? And how many dollars at the end of every year are not accounted for in an expense. And really knowing those numbers, then you have the opportunity to really take those next steps because what's left over, mm-hmm. right? Are we just blowing it on coffee and things on the road, right? And those obviously, it's easy to drive through somewhere and $10 or $15 is gone, or with my family, 50. Depending on where you stop for food, it could be $50 or $100. Easy, right? So yeah.
And totally, and to see that's amazing. And also pretty scary. Halloween coming up and everything, eh? Wow.
Yes.
But that's awesome because I truly do believe to have a consultant like you, and we can't go into details on a person how they should do it because they need to get a hold of you, right? And
It's totally unique. You know,
Mhm.
every individual, every family, every business is different.
Yeah,
So to give, do A plus B, it doesn't work.
Mhm.
No, it's really something that needs to be discussed. And money's a personal thing,
It is.
um,
It,
and an emotional thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
So Kyle, how does managing cash flow with our income early help with our retirement years? Like, can you? How can a person save on the tax we may have to pay on our savings?
Oh, when it comes to investing, uh, early can play a huge role. If we think about, in our pre-retirement years, especially when we're young, time is on our side, right? But when, we're no longer investing in our retirement, it really becomes our enemy, if you almost want to think of that. Not that living long should be thought of as a bad thing, but a lot of people fear outliving their money. So starting early is really key. And I so many people I meet in their like early 20s, and it's just my biggest advice for them. Like if you're listening right now, start putting money away. Um, like say if you were 20 and you were investing, you know, I won't say a number, right? Because it doesn't matter. So we'll just say the same amount. If you invest the same amount from when you're 20 to when you're 35, right? And then you compare yourself to someone who begins at 40 and invests for until they're 65, right? So a much longer time frame, you will have more money if you started younger and just stopped investing for the entire 30 years before 65. Right? So time is our friend, and it's those compounding interest years in the beginning that really help. Now, in terms of taxes, now that again, it's kind of one of those unique situational things. Um, you need to talk to someone you can trust to guide you through this. I, to do a broad, you know, um, piece of advice, I would think, utilize your registered account first, like your RSP account, your tax-free savings account. They're so underutilized. I've met so many families that are not using these, and they're a great tool. Uh, the next thing, when I think about taxes and trying to save on tax, really it's the order of how you receive your income as well when you're in retirement. Pulling from one account instead of the other, and the only way to really figure out this sequence on when to take what income is really just to work with someone who can utilize software to model it. There's really no other way to figure it out easily. That would be the savings on tax, because investing in an RSP, I hate to say it, but for some it's just not the best route, depending on how much they make. The taxes you're saving now, you may be then pulling that income in retirement in that same bracket.
Mhm.
But if we look historically back, the taxes that we're paying in that same bracket are ever increasing. So we're deferring tax to pay more later. So it's really unique in terms of who and when should invest in an RSP and at what time. So yeah, just to save on those taxes.
Wonder I failed math. Like,
calculators.
wow. And like truly, I could not even imagine doing this without having a consultant like you. Kyle, I'm like, it's going way and
Yes.
it's understandable what you're saying. It's like truly understandable, but I think a lot of times because it is scary and people they get there's so much information, right? And having a
Yeah.
like
Oh
you,
yeah.
you're gonna break it down into the points of where they're at for one thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting, and then where's it best to be put in, and you're gonna work with them, right?
Sure. And I mean, it takes hours to put together each piece of, these life plans. They are a living plan because so much changes in our life that I always think that we never change the goal, but
Mhm.
we may change how we get there.
Yeah,
Right.
because
Um,
yeah, obstacles happen or life happens, right?
that's right.
And it
Yeah.
makes so much sense now.
Yeah. As Jen and I say, life gets lifey sometimes. And you
But
just
the
got to roll
goal
with it,
never changes.
adapt or pivot. I hear pivot quite a bit right now as that kind of go-to word, in this COVID environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And totally and that's it. Yeah, I just got everything there with the end goal is always going to be the same.
Yes.
Always. That is great. I love that. Kyle, could you tell our viewers some of the things to have in place before retirement? There is more to
Okay.
our retirement planning, you know.
Yeah. And I think I can think of three quick things. The first one is a will and an estate plan, a proper one that really, is a guide to whoever you leave as the executor or the executrix, so that what you want to happen gets done. And so one thing I like to do is just run through, with whoever I'm working with, what exactly they would want to happen, especially when it comes to split families. It can get very muddy, and it's key to have everything worded exactly how you want it to happen. Another thing I can think of, uh, things to have in place before retirement would be like credit solutions. If we think about, like a line of credit or something like that. And I generally only recommend these for people who are disciplined when it comes to managing their debt. The amount of credit that we can receive when we're working is much different than the credit we can receive when we're retired. They will allow us to play with more equity in our homes when we're working.
Mhm.
And then the third thing would have to be some sort of a long-term care insurance. Those are kind of the crucial years to look into those products. I'm not saying everyone should get it
Mhm.
because that's unique. Really, some people have amassed such a retirement nest egg that they're almost self-insured, right? But to at least look into it and to see if it's something you want to have in place, because the only time to apply for something like that is before you need it, right? And I know I've met quite a few that have significant others, and partners that are in these facilities, and that percentage, if it's like a government facility, percentage of their income is gone, right? So those two lived on that income for however many years, and now a good chunk of that is gone. So now that surviving spouse, not only is he dealing with, a loved one that's in one of these facilities, um, he's short now financially. He's down on income. His expenses are higher. I know, personal story. My grandfather was visiting my grandmother in these care facilities, Alzheimer's. She ended up passing away last year, but 5 days a week he was there. Well, that has a cost on him as well. So ensuring that something is in place if you need it. Those are really the three things that I could think of right now.
And my condolences to you, Kyle, on that. But like, and I don't think people think of those things. Like
No.
I'm just thinking, oh my God, I'm doomed. I'm not like, well,
Well,
I'm gonna win the millions, okay?
the
But
that's
is
harder to put steps towards
yeah,
to achieve.
but is there any age where it's too late, or can you even when you're in your 50s say such as someone I know?
When with what the like a long-term care
Or
kind of.
retirement, or starting to save money, or starting to put a cash
Oh,
flow.
it's never too late.
Okay, so you always have hope.
Yeah, I mean, we may have to, if the numbers don't work, then maybe we're delaying retirement,
Oh,
right,
oh,
for a year or two, just until the numbers do work.
but sometimes,
Uh, and for some, I really noticed, especially like high achievers, 65 or 60 or 55, maybe when they want to stop working for someone else,
oh,
right? And it's at that time when they have achieved some level of freedom that they can really decide to do what they love doing, right? So a lot of people that I know they are working in those retirement years. They're
mhm.
earning some sort of an income now doing what they love.
Oh,
So again, it's personal when you think of retirement. Is it financial freedom, or is it just you are not working at all, and just depending on your benefits, whether it's government benefits or pensions or whatever, everything has to be accounted for and weighed out.
it is totally personal. Like everyone's unique in that
It
manner.
is. Yeah, it completely is.
Kyle, not only are you a consultant, um, you also are a blogger for Experience Nicola.
Yes.
You have amazing blog, by the way, and people, yes, go to Experience Nicola Valley and read Kyle's blogs because they will give you a lot of information and provide you with more intuitive stuff. But anyways, Kyle, when reading your very informative blog, Managing Cash Flow, something that I did not know and assume many people don't know and realize that between the ages of 60 and 70, we can begin receiving CPP or Canada Pension Plan benefits. But if I were to receive these benefits before the age of 65, then I get a penalty. Like, what? I didn't know that.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people do.
No, yeah, and it accumulates quickly. It's 0.6% per month that you decide on taking it early, before 65, that you miss out on for life. And then the flip side, for those who maybe don't need it, there's situations when I have advised people to delay Canada pension after 65.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about, if someone upon retirement will receive, a lump sum of money from their employer on retirement. Well, you don't want to increase your taxable income that year. So if you delay it, you're going to get a bonus for the rest of your life. So again, it's another one of those personal things.
Mm-hmm.
And the other two things that I look at and think about and discuss is health, right? How healthy are you? Are you fighting any, autoimmune diseases or anything like that you think would maybe lower the period of time that you'll be on this earth? Longevity, right? I'm thinking, parents, grandparents, and thinking like that, barring anything that's, how do you say it? Like catastrophic, like a accident or something like that, right? But family history does tell quite a bit. And I know there's this magic number of 77, right? Thrown out there that, well, if you live longer than 77, then wait taking CPP until after 60. right? But again, that's one thing that I've heard of, right? But
Mhm.
for the most part, it is personal. There's times when I've helped people take it early, times when I've helped people take it later on time. So yeah, it is complicated, but the bonus for waiting is
It's
nice too.
yeah. You can buy those extra or go through a drive-through extra once a month.
Sure, there you go. Now you don't have to worry about hitting up that drive-through. Yeah.
Um,
Extra time at the home restaurant or something a month.
yeah. So, Kyle, in your informative blog on the Experience Nicola Valley retirement planning, you state that there is more to our retirement planning than investment performance. I confess, this is like hearing a different language, or
Yes,
this is Greek. Could you generally describe what you mean by this?
sure. Yes. Um, a lot of people focus on rate of return, right? And they're uh, although it's important, of course, our money needs to be making money, or else what are we doing, right? But more important than that is actually the sequence of those investment returns. Volatility in our pre-retirement years, our portfolio going up 25% and down 15, and if we're regularly contributing, to these accounts, it's a great thing, right? But volatility in our retirement, we need to be smart with how we are pulling our income at that point. That's why controlling where you're receiving your income is important. If we're in a down market like March, April, May, I believe from what I've heard, things have pretty much recovered. But again, that's portfolio dependent and different institutions and things like that. So the sequence is more important, because if you think no one gets 5% a year, or this way, that way, no one gets 5% every year, right? It's up, down, up, down, up, down. So trying to control that variability by selecting the correct portfolio is key.
And also with retirement planning and stuff like that, you would need to put in some kind of contingency, I would think, for some hurdle that might come up too, also, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Uh, oh, man, I want to get together with you now. Questions, and I can't ask because it's for me.
Yeah.
Okay. And my dad was just, by the way, was just listening here in the kitchen. He was like, hey, like the first time I long to listen to you. We're going into it.
We could go for another hour.
I know. And here I was thinking, so I'm going to just mention these pillars of from your blog, okay?
Okay.
So and pillar one is managing cash flow, which I think we talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, because there's the 6 altogether that I'm focusing on.
Yeah.
Managing cash flow, to really get into that, it would be looking at like cash flow analysis. What's coming in? Where is it going out? What's left over? Can we do things more tax efficiently now to get, a bigger refund on our taxes, annually? And is the income that we are receiving in our retirement coming in the correct order so that we're paying the least amount of taxes possible, and trying to utilize the most out of all the government benefits that are available? There's pillar one in a nutshell. Yeah.
So on to pillar two.
Okay.
For the unexpected.
Okay. That one I'm looking more at like income and wealth protection. Having liquidity in our estate when we pass, to make things more smooth of a transition for those who are taking care of our estates. Making sure wills are in place and they are what we want to happen, because they are our last words and no more after that.
Yeah.
Split families, right? Just making sure that it's done fairly. Yeah.
So optimizing your retirement in half
Okay.
a minute.
That one, thinking about how our portfolios are constructed. There's no ABC portfolio, but it shouldn't be invested in something that's volatile when we need the money tomorrow,
Okay.
right? It needs to be near cash. So just ensuring that our portfolios are constructed appropriately for the goal and the time in our life. If the markets are down, we don't want to be redeeming uh, stocks and equities, right? Try and pull from other areas till things recover. Guaranteed income. We can ensure that almost like creating our own pension.
So for more information, people, you just need to call Kyle.
Yes.
His number is. So sharing your wealth, number 5.
Okay. Legacy planning. That's really how I look at that one. Again, kind of ensuring that there's a smooth transition of your wealth and that it's done in a tax efficient manner. I also like to think of this as an opportunity to really help our, recognizing these charities, these organizations that were near and dear to us during our life.
The last one, pillar 6,
Okay.
maximizing your business success.
Yes. So succession planning is big when I think about business owners, like incorporated business owners. There's a lot of things that you can do, and you do have a time period to put them in place to transfer out, and utilizing certain strategies, you'll pay way less taxes when you do decide to sell your business. Again, there's kind of pre-liquidity planning. There's I'm almost doing, well, I'm doing really 2 financial plans when it comes to persons with corporations, because there's a personal plan and think about all the taxes involved there, but there's also that corporate plan and how to be tax efficient in the corporation, because it's a very different environment, and the investments that are in that corporation need to be handled differently as well. Obviously, there's no RSP for a corporation. So to do things that are tax efficient for you now and when you're personally retired, and just organizing that as well. There's very complicated when you get into corporations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle, could you share with our listeners what is special about Logan Lake and the Nicola Valley, and why these 2 places, these great communities, should be a stay, vacation, and destination for all travelers?
There's so much to do. I love I love these areas. When I think about, it's quiet, right? For one, it's not. It's busy, but it's not like Kamloops or Lower Mainland busy. So there's lots of areas that you can go very quickly, and you're able to enjoy. Whether it be camping or golfing, hunting, hiking. I know cross country skiing. That's even available around here. Horseback riding. Like there's so much that we can do locally that is so near to us. And the other thing, it's supporting local, right? When I think about these last few months, you know, so important right now to support local business, or else they're gone, right? We see that in the States. It's horrendous what's happening to small business, right? And it could be Canada as well. So supporting those local businesses is supporting the local economy. So we won't have these little places to just stop at, or some of these things to enjoy if we don't enjoy them now as well.
That's and so true. And to me, I'd rather go to these little places than go to big cities myself. So could you share with our listeners what the Experience Nicola Valley bloggers in this talk show means to the community, to your community, to our community? Well, we're all communities here.
Yeah.
How, in your opinion, is it benefiting local businesses, musicians, nonprofit agency, and tourism and merit, and Logan Lake?
I think it brings a tremendous amount of visibility to local businesses that I did not even know were there, right? And to venues that I did not even know were there. We all tend to like, our certain things. And I've really noticed with the Experience Nicola Valley and the different bloggers that are on there that I get to experience and learn about things I would have never looked into. And I'm learning so much about the area and that I would have never learned any other way. And I've noticed it even affecting like even Google searches. I've noticed that, some of these businesses are appearing now on these local Google searches just from these blogs. And I think that's amazing to really be even on that platform like that.
And truly, it sure is, Kyle. And is there anything else before I let you go that you would like to comment on that we may have forgotten?
Oh, well, thanks for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. It's been great chatting, Tanya. And I guess my parting thing would be, thinking about the value of advice and having someone at your side that you trust and that you have that relationship with is extremely important. I have read some independent studies. Of course, they're not mine. They're not they're not IG Wealth, but I have read of a few studies that it doesn't matter how much you make, what point in your life you're at, that working with a trusted advisor has like an exponential impact when it comes to your net worth. And just having someone guide you through those difficult decisions. This one study I can think of, 3.9 times, I believe the number was, an increase in net worth to people who work with an advisor over 15 years. Like that's massive.
Yeah.
Right. That's your early retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or comfortable retirement where you're not worrying about, well, am I going to run out of money at 75? Right. Or at 83, when, a lot of us could be living into our 90s and with medical improvements, hundreds, right? We have no idea. So that's, key. Just, finding someone you trust, working with them will help you live a more comfortable retirement as well.
Well, thank you, Kyle. Amazing. And like I said, people, to get more information, you need to contact Kyle. I've provided many contact. And like, wow, there's so much. My head's hurting.
Oh yeah, I could talk for days.
Because
there's so much to get into.
I'm thinking, I'm trying to think of but that's for a different time. As people do run out of money, like, oh my goodness, like, well, there you have it. Amazing. Like I said, I'm just thinking of all these things that I really thought of before. So talk about listening to to a person like Kyle Schell, who truly lessens the fear about finances and money. And get a hold of him. He's also a blogger for Experience Nicola Valley. So I'm going to keep it short. So join us next week here at the same place, same time, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And here's Kyle's number, 250-879-6306. So next week we are going to be welcoming Work BC. And again, I'm your host, Tania Stewart. And remember the 4 R's: reuse, recycle, rethink, and reduce our landfills. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Bye.